Hi, my name is Lior.
And my name is Talia.
Hello and welcome. Today we're conducting an interview as part of the final project of Tevel Ashkelon, Youth Leadership and Public Diplomacy of StandWithUs. We're here to hear the personal story of Itay Amar, a paramedic with Magen David Adom in Ashdod. Itay took part in rescue and medical operations on October 7th in the communities surrounding Gaza. Today he will share his story with us. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So my name is Itay, currently EMT-A in a paramedics course. I'm 19 years old from Ashdod. I grew up around Ashdod and I grew up in the MDA. I started my way as a youth volunteer, where I also became an instructor. And now I went out to the paramedics course.
What do you do? What is your role during emergencies?
Well, I went through several roles. As a youth volunteer, my abilities are limited when it comes to actually performing any actions during medical emergencies. When I started my paramedics training, I got a lot of new tools and medications I can use to help my patients. And at this stage of training, I also handle most scenes.
How did your morning start on October 7th?
It was a Saturday morning. On Sunday, I was supposed to start my theoretical studies, and I stayed up late on Friday studying. And I said I'll sleep until noon, and then I'll wake up and I'll meet my family. But then I woke up to the sound of sirens. We immediately ran to the shelter, where I realized that since I'm no longer a youth volunteer, during any times of escalations, youth volunteers go off duty. And I realized I'm now 18 and I could go out on the field. And so I just threw on my uniform and I contacted our dispatch center. I heard the chaos in the background and I just ran for the station. I live about a quarter of an hour's walk from the station and I ran right over there. And that's where my day started, at our station in Ashdod.
When did you realize this wasn't just another round of missiles?
I first realized it wasn't a usual round of missiles when we were in the station in Ashkelon. Meaning in Ashdod, we got a small brief from our medical supervisor and we headed towards Ashkelon, where we joined with teams from Ashkelon itself and their station manager, where we started getting reports and actual concrete reports of shootings and terrorist infiltrations. I think it didn't actually set in until we went to the Kachav Michael triage center, and we got reports of actual wounded and gunshot injuries headed our way.
And what goes through your mind in this moment?
I think the MDA prepared me where in these moments, the only thing going through my mind is protocols and how to treat those injuries. I already started planning what I'll do when the casualty arrives.
Tell us about your experience as a young medic.
I think as a young medic, I loved the MDA and I did plenty of shifts, so I got plenty of exposure to any and all medical situations, from births to cardiac arrests, and of course, plenty of trauma cases, but nothing of the sort or the scale we got on October 7th.
October 7th was your first major incident, full-fledged medic in MDA. What was it like to be most likely the youngest person on your team during such a massive emergency?
So as I said, I went out on October 7th when I was 18 and a couple months. So at the start, I was full of adrenaline, meaning I had several rounds of escalations when I was a youth volunteer. And those cases, I always went off duty. But then I was excited because this is my chance to be on the front lines and actually make a difference, back when I didn't realize the scale of the whole event. So it started off with adrenaline and excitement, and then when we got the first round of casualties, I think it immediately dropped down and I just went to my muscle memory when it comes to actually treating patients. Even though I was the youngest on my team, and I think the youngest I saw with me in the field, I didn't really feel that age difference. Meaning the decisions I made were respected by my colleagues, whether older or more experienced, and of course we worked together
When did you realize this event was different?
Usually during rounds of escalations, we can receive any reports of suspicious people or even sounds of gunshots from civilians that heard something else or from civilians being on high alert because of the escalation. But I think when I saw the first casualty, that's when I realized this is real. This is actually something on a scale we've never seen before. When I saw that injury, it was something I only saw in textbooks. It was something I only read about. But seeing an actual gunshot injury was a difficult experience. I think it was trying to keep myself together and going back to what I know.
During the day, you entered high-risk areas, and how did you feel about it?
In these moments, I think I always go to thinking about my patients. Of course, personal safety is a must, but in those moments, I tell myself that I have to be there and I have to treat them. And I know that it's a matter of time because every minute is critical when it comes to trauma. So I just put that out of my mind and, again, went back to basics to treat as the best I could.
Did you or your team ever hesitate or question whether to enter certain areas?
There was one incident in Gaza where we received reports of a shooting scene. We were about to head into the scene itself when we noticed there is no military or police presence. In those moments, we had a real dilemma of how do we handle the situation. So fortunately, there was police presence right behind us, and we managed to go to the scene and take the casualties. But at that moment, I looked at the paramedic, she looked at me, and we realized that the patient's best interest is what drives us.
Your father was also called into the action as a police officer. Tell us about this.
I think it was a large part of why I also went out. Meaning, when I was a youth volunteer, in any rounds of escalations, he used to send us a photo of him in his tactical gear and sort of make me jealous because he knew as an EMT I also wanted to be in those situations. Right when I turned 18 and when the situation started, part of my thinking was, okay, this is my chance to also be there. This is my chance to actually make a difference and be out there like him. The last conversation we had, I told him we were going out to receive casualties of gunshot wounds, and I told him that I loved him, which doesn't really happen between a father and son, especially not between us. He managed to text me back that he loves me too, and to watch myself. And that was the last conversation that we had. I lost contact with him at about noon. That's whenever we evacuated a round of casualties to the hospital, I just started running between the rows in the hospital looking for him. Because my thinking was, if he didn't answer me, he was either still fighting. In that case, he still answered me. He still answered my calls. Or he was injured and was fighting to go back out on the front lines, but they didn't let him. So I was looking for him, but I didn't find him there. But of course, we only had minutes in the hospital before we had to go out again. So right when we went out again, I just set my mind again on the patient I have right now, and I put everything back. And we went about this cycle a couple of times until I finished my shift. It was about 25 hours long. I started on 7 a.m. Saturday morning, and I finished it at 8 a.m. Sunday morning. And at that point, I started getting a bad feeling. So I slept what I could and went back to the station. My father is a chief superintendent, Itay Amar. He's the commander of the resources branch at the Yoav Yassam unit. On that day, he went out from his house at a it's a Moshav Otzem. What we know from the Shiva and things around that, because he didn't really talk to us and tell us where he was headed during the day. We know he went out to Sderot. He fought over the police station. From there, he went out to Kfar Aza. From there, he returned to Sderot, fought there. Then he drove out to Be'eri. He got a flat tire on the way on the 232 road. From there, he went to Be'eri. He replaced another officer in an armored convoy headed into Be'eri. And their direct RPG hits killed all the officers in the vehicle, excluding one, which unfortunately also killed my father that day. We got the message about a week later, on the night between Friday and Saturday. I remember in that week, I was out in the field as much as I could. I did morning shifts, came back for night shifts, stayed for another morning shift, slept in the station for 4 hours maybe, and went back on duty, and just kept telling myself, he's okay. I know him. He's a real fighter. He made me the man I am, and he's out there. He's probably busy, and if he's on the front lines, I have no excuse not to be there. He had a total of 6 children. Another one was born after he was killed, but he was a father that cared for everyone, including everyone. He was always involved. He always showed up at anything. We talked about anything and everything. He taught me about Israel, about our history. He always made me listen to old music and see old films and know about the history and geography of Israel. Also, I know he acted as a father figure to anyone he had any command over. After his passing, I received tens of messages from people telling me that he helped them during times of crisis. About 5 people reached out to me, told me that they were living a horrible life surrounded in a horrible environment, and he took them out of it. And some of them actually enlisted as police officers themselves. So I know that his influence lives on through them and through us.
Can you take us to a moment that stands out in your memory from that day?
In that day, since we didn't really know what happened with my dad, the one moment that stands out to me was when we were sent in Netivot to await the injured from Be'eri. We were receiving reports of a hostage situation, which turned out to be false. So we were waiting there while we were receiving, fortunately, the killed to start the identification process. And during that time, we received a bus of evacuated people from Be'eri itself. And I just remember seeing their high spirits with everything that happened, with everything they went through. They were still smiling, they were still laughing, and I just remember looking at people that went through hell, but were still taking it in stride. And I remembered that's the Israeli spirit.
Your father was declared missing, yet you kept going. Where did you find strength?
I think that he raised me to be there and use my skills for the best. And so when it comes to being on the front lines, I think I couldn't see myself anywhere else. During that time, I don't think I could have done or would have done anything different. It doesn't matter whether I had the strength or not. I knew my patients needed me, so I would be there for them.
Is there something you carry with you from that day that you try to apply in your personal life?
I think that nothing should be taken as granted. I think anything and everything could change, and we should do our best to cherish those moments that we do have. And I think some of that is the Israeli spirit, where we hug everything we can, remember what we lost, and find the strength to move on, not leaving anything behind, but carrying their memory with us.
As we come to the end of this interview, we want to thank you once again for being here and for agreeing to share your story. People from around the world will be watching this on the StandWithUs social media accounts. Do you have a message for the audience? Is there anything you would like to add or say before we conclude?
A couple years ago, I headed on the Poland expedition as a representative of the MDA's youth delegation. My father also went went on that expedition a couple years before me as a representative of the Israeli police. And for my expedition, he wrote me a letter, which I think holds true to this day. I'll translate. In his letter, he wrote, "The Jewish spirit, the care for a neighbor, a friend, a loved one, and every Jew, wherever they may be, belongs to the Jewish people as a whole. Only if we stand for one another can we face any enemy at any time. During times like this, I think we should always remember who we are. I think we should always stay together, and we should never, ever let any small difference separate us. Because only together we can stand against any enemy at any time."
Thank you so much, Itay. Thank you for sharing your story with us and joining our program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.